This is the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast, where we dive deep into conversations that matter for today's leaders and growth seekers. In today's episode, Rebekah sits down with agency owner Tanner Frick. We get to see exactly how Tanner managed to level up his career fast and efficiently, starting with the wisdom his dad passed on to him.
I remember this vividly. If he would say, you become the people you surround yourself with.
To finding himself unsure of the right path to take.
Took the first test, just bombed it, failed it again. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Do I really want to do this?
To finally shifting into a winning mindset.
You treat this like a hobby, you're going to get paid like it's a hobby. But if you treat it like a business, you can get paid like it's a business.
All of this coming up next on the Level Up Lifestyle.
Welcome to the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Rebekah Samuels, and we're here in Globe Life Studios out of McKinney, Texas. Today's conversation is with Tanner Frick, a second-year agency owner who is in the middle of building massive momentum and growing into leadership in real time. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what it looks to step into ownership early, the challenges that come with it, and the mindset required to keep moving. So Tanner started in Family Heritage in 2020. In just that short time since then, he's written over 47 Eagles, winning I Dare You each year as either an agency builder or sales professional. He's written over $1 million in premium just by himself. In his first year with over $250,000 in NAP, number 91 in the entire company. As an agency owner, the Frick Agency has written over $8.5 million in premium. And he also earned the career milestone, the Courage Award. He was invited to be a part of our prestigious Growth Council this year and helps lead the way for not just his company, but our entire division. But most importantly, he is husband to Kennedy and dad to daughter Noah. So welcome to the podcast, Tanner.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're excited to share your story. Yeah. So before we get into your fast track as an agency owner, I wanted to start with your roots because you come from a long line of entrepreneurs and pioneers, right?
I sure do. Yeah. So we can go with, we can dive deeper into it too. But born and raised in Yankton, South Dakota, small town, South Dakota. Small for anywhere else, but in South Dakota, it's actually the 7th biggest county.
Oh, goodness. Okay, got it.
16,000 people total, right on the southeast corner of the state, Missouri River. So we kind of grew up on the river and on the water growing up and born in a Christian faith-based home. So youngest of 3 siblings, my brother Jacob and my sister Morgan, and my mom and dad. Been married for, what is it now, 36 plus years,
wow,
37 years.
What an example.
Yeah, they're great.
So what can you tell us a little bit about your family background? Because you're not the first generation of Fricks in your hometown, right?
Nope. Yeah, I'm actually the 5th.
Okay, wow.
Which is crazy to say, but the Frick family were actually one of the first settlers in the Yankton area.
Oh, cool.
Crazy to go way back in the mid 1800s. Our family was one of the first ones to settle in that area. I'm in the 5th generation now, and just entrepreneurship was kind of in our blood. My from the great grandpa. I don't know much about his story as much as I wish I did, but my grandpa himself was the one that was really the entrepreneur that started that bloodline too. I'm aware of. So
wow, that's neat. So what can you tell us about his business or kind of the entrepreneurial lessons you've heard from him?
Yeah, so my grandpa. So I'll go back to my great grandpa.
Wow. Okay.
He started buying hogs and a trucking business.
Okay.
I remember reading the autobiography. He rode his horse into town.
This is so cool already.
This is back in the day,
Yeah.
Rode the horse into town to buy this old, semi truck from one of his friends actually, and bought the truck and then started hauling hogs and buying hogs and kind of just going all over the place. And then my grandpa is the one that really took that to the next level. He saw that and worked hard and worked with my great grandpa for a while, and then he ended up passing away from a heart attack when he was like 62. So my grandpa took over the business at a pretty young age. And then he just grew the business, had a his whole hog buying business, trucking business, had quite a few truckers, and they'd go, all over the place. I think they would buy around 15,000 hogs per week, from what I saw. In the bar. Yeah, so pretty crazy upbringing. And then my dad, worked in that business too for a while.
Okay.
And then my dad was kind of in the hog buying business, livestock business, just kind of the old South Dakota, the way, with that type of stuff. So, yeah.
And when you were growing up, was your dad still involved in your family business, or had he broken away at this point?
He was involved with it for,
Okay.
when I was really young, like just born. So when I was probably 1 or 2, then he ended up then he sold some oil and propane, and then he got into the HVAC business. He bought a HVAC company about 25 years ago. And so he bought that. They had 3 employees, and now they've grown it to a pretty nice operation. Now they're in a couple different towns around the area, and they have about 30 employees now that are full-time and quite a few trucks. And yeah.
What a cool example.
Yeah.
Business in the blood. So not maybe that you recognized it as a young person, but are there things you look back on and realize you learned or know with your dad building and scaling this HVAC company?
Yeah.
Or?
Just always seeing the hard work of what it took to, get to where he's at now. And then obviously just growing up with, we've all, really my grandpa, business owner, my dad, a business owner, my dad's brother, a business owner. So just a lot of that just growing up. I've been surrounded by great people that are great influences that obviously, they've done it, and just seeing what it takes to get to where they're at and what we've created is pretty special to see. I've been blessed by a lot of great people around my life, but obviously those guys, just being able to see that has been pretty special.
And I guess you speak to your dad saying he was pretty influential. Other than seeing the hard work and sacrifice, are there any lessons that you draw on today that you either heard or saw him live out in front of you?
Yeah, he was always a man of his word. Follow through with what you do. Always, if you say it, do it. So obviously how actions speak louder than words. That was one of the big ones. Another one was, I remember when I was in middle school growing up, and there was a guy that was just kind of a troublemaker. And he invited us over to hang out. And it was, winter time. So snowballs were around.
Okay,
and,
got it. Yeah.
Snowballing cars and vehicles. And my dad heard that story. And I remember him sitting down with me. And it wasn't something that I always hung out with, but it's just, somebody that I was at their house and he just knew they were more of a troublemaker. And ended up having the conversation. I remember this vividly. If he would say, you become the people you surround yourself with. And so being able to realize that at a young age, we had a lot of great friends growing up, Christian friends, leaders that I would surround myself with. And we still have a great group of friends from hometown that we are all back in our hometown now, which is really cool. A lot of them are doctors, lawyers, teachers that are just great people in the community too. So, yeah.
So you got to see a little bit of a foreshadowing, it sounds like, of who you give your time to, right? You belong to and become like. I think that's a great lesson. So how did that shape your mindset around work and risk? I know we're going to get into how you found out about family heritage, but were you always interested in business yourself? As I think you said, you're the youngest, right?
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
Were you always had a hankering for that, or were you just
always? Yeah.
Okay.
I always just, I looked up to my dad. I look up to my dad a lot. So seeing him as a business owner, I really started my first business when I was 14.
Okay.
So in South Dakota, we can drive when we're 14.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which everyone's like, what? But
there's only 17,000 people in the town.
Yeah, and we're all, a lot of farming families. So it's like, how do these farmers get their kids to school, when they're younger? It's like, we just let them drive earlier. So pretty easy fix to that. But 14 started my lawn mowing business, which was kind of great too, because at that age, you have to have that discipline too. To, that's where that discipline really instilled. I was an athlete growing up and did all the sports, but being mowing yards anyways, I didn't have anyone telling me like, I got to get to work today. Like it's obviously I see the yard needs to be mowed, but there are times like, I could go to the lake today, or I could do this instead. But like having that discipline to stay focused on that when people wanted their yard mowed, because some people, wanted them mowed on a Friday before the weekend. So when they have family or whatever, so just things like that where I was just instilled, always a entrepreneur at heart from the people that I surround myself with, but also just doing it myself when I was young, young age, starting at a young age and just doing anything really that could help, make money for myself.
Make money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like that maybe Not that you're money motivated, but it sounds like you like to do things on your own. And maybe sounds like with sports, we're slightly competitive as well.
Very competitive. Yeah.
That's neat.
Yep.
So what sport was yours? I think we've made it to middle school now. Did you continue to play sports all the way through high school and college, or what was that like?
Yeah. So I played really all the sports growing up, anything that you could think of. We're actually 3-time state champion in baseball when I was, it was younger days. And then as I grew older, basketball, my dad played professional basketball. And so just, not at the NBA level, but a step down, like the D League or CBA is what they called it then. But, just growing up with my dad being an athlete, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a much better basketball player than I. He's bigger than me too. And he could shoot lights out and dunk. So he was a stud, but, I played all the sports growing up. Then as it got more focused to basketball and, football throughout high school.
Wow.
And I remember in middle school, even I was like, hey, I don't think I want to play football. And my dad was like, you're going to play football. Just play it, stick it out. And thankfully I did, because honestly, I was probably a better football athlete, and I had way better memories with football in high school. We won 2 state championships.
Okay.
So that was fun, but just the football memories that it brought were amazing, and nothing I'll never forget. But then basketball was like my love. It's just like I love basketball more. That was more my passion, and maybe it was because growing up with my dad, and he's 62, and he's still.
And wipe you down the.
He still has to have the basketball hoop out in the driveway. He'll go out there and shoot hoops sometimes.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's if I can do half what he's doing now at that age, I'll be very excited to do that.
That's so cool to hear. Yeah. So thinking through about, you said you had better football and memories, and obviously we're in love with basketball because your dad and how much you respect him. Were there coaches or people or moments from football or basketball, just going through the grind or the competition or the work that you take with you today? I mean, are there any kind of foundational memories or conversations with coaches?
Yeah, I was blessed to have a lot of great coaches growing up. The football coach that he was a Hall of Famer coach in Yankton, and he just Coach Lickness is his name, and he's just one of those guys that always was just a winner. He'd get after people, which is great, which is what I liked. I like being coached, hard, and just being, told what I need to do. And he was a guy that would, if you mess up, he'll let you know. But this is what was really good about him, is he'd always bring the best out of everybody after that too. It's like, you still respect the crap out of him. You still want to go play hard. And after that, you're like, all right, I'm figuring this out. So, I grew up with a great coach there, and then my basketball coach, great dude now. He's still somebody that I still keep in touch with.
Oh, that's
consistently.
Awesome. Okay.
And he was in his second year, or his first year when I was a freshman. Then I started playing varsity as a sophomore, and he is just one of those dudes that great dude, great mentor of mine, and somebody that will still go golf, every once in a while on Men's Day. In Yankton together. So just somebody that is always good at just keeping that relationship too. And every day on the first day of practice, or the night before the first day of practice, he still says this is the 15th year as a coach. And then he sends us the entire practice roster. So we've just grown up with a lot of great people like that keep us around community wise. It's important for us. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so it sounds like you stuck with basketball.
Yeah.
So at this point, Tanner, what are your young dreams, right? You've got the lawn business, you've got your dad who you want to emulate. Yeah. We're 5'11", 6 foot on a good day. Yep. Are we thinking professional basketball, or where were you thinking life was going now?
When I was young, for sure. I was like, come on, I got to go pro,
Grow.
It's like, I remember sitting in the driveway, like, if I make this shot, I'm going pro.
Yes.
Make the shot, I'm like, yep, I'm going pro. But
Mike.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I was younger, obviously, just the mentality wise, like I was just want to, get to the highest level. And then as high school came, it was just more realistic. Like, okay, probably, not going pro. But I wanted to go play college basketball. So I went to a D2 school in University of Sioux Falls. Played D2 basketball there. That's only, Sioux Falls about an hour and a half away from Yankton. So not too far. When I was younger, I was always like, I'm going to go to Arizona, or I'm going to go to, the schools outside
great
of
adventure,
the state.
yes.
Yeah. So, I went to University of Sioux Falls, and I honestly had more offers for football than I did for basketball. But like I said, I was probably a better football player. but basketball wise, just kind of where my passion was and longevity of it. I'm like, I think I want to walk when I'm older too and have less. Yeah,
That's true. That's okay.
But I was a wide receiver, slot receiver, running back / safety in football. So I kind of did a lot on that side of things. So it was fun. And, that position there, obviously, thankfully I never had any traumatic injuries or anything like that. But I just always heard stories, talking to people, some other people, like, so how's college football? I was like, man, my body's beat, So I was like, okay, I'm going to play basketball.
Made a good choice.
Yeah.
So were you able to play throughout college, or did you have to make a choice at some point?
Yeah. So
to focus on academics, or?
I played, so I redshirted my freshman year, along with three or four other guys, 3 other guys. And, I just, it was the best route. I mean, I was, I'm only 5'11", and it made more sense for us to all mature and get bigger and just work out.
Yeah.
And, we needed to put on weight. I'm only 5'11". I'm going against these other point guards that are 6'3", 200 pounds. And so it was
your bulking year.
Yeah, it was a bulking year for sure. I went from like 160 to 180.
There you go.
Muscle, so it was a good choice. But I redshirted my freshman year, and then throughout I played. I was on the team for all 3.5 years. Technically. I got to a point where I just kind of fell out of love with basketball. It felt more like a chore rather than a passion of wanting to get to the gym every day.
Yeah.
I was always good with just like working out and just working hard and consistently being in the gym. Just there was a point where I'm like, man, another 3-hour long practice, and then we got an hour film after that, and it's just like, okay, there's more to life than playing basketball. So.
I mean, what was that like? Okay, you're sitting in Sioux Falls, you've gone to college, this college, because you're going to play basketball. And then at some point you realize that's not the dream anymore. I mean, how did that feel? What were you telling yourself? I mean. Yeah,
it's tough because you find your identity in basketball or in sports.
Yeah.
Anyone does. And then especially as a college athlete, you get done, you're like, okay, now what? What else? Like, what can I do? And so but thankfully, obviously, like I said, I've always had great people around me. My college friends were awesome. The mentors I had in college were great. Obviously, my dad, just being that business side, is like, I always knew, like, okay, I'm ready to go make some money, and I'm ready to go do something different. So
put all that energy and effort. Yeah. Okay.
And now and it's funny because my academics in college were actually a lot better than they were in high school. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I had like a 3.7 GPA in college, and my high school one was like only a 3.4, 3.3. So high school's obviously a lot easier, but it was showing you that I was more dedicated to sports in high school rather than college. I really took that, initiative to focus on, the degree, and obviously still being a student athlete and the grind of that. So, yeah.
So were you thinking you would go back home and help dad with the HVAC business? Were you studying business? I'm assuming, but I guess you haven't told us yet. Yeah. Okay. So we're doing basketball, and
I studied, my degree is in business administration and a minor in entrepreneurial studies.
Okay.
So kind of just being a business owner, I've always known that I've always wanted to own a business. I've always wanted to be in the business side of things. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. At one point it was, okay, I can go to college, go back home, take over the family business. And, then there was a point where like, okay, I kind of just want to do my own thing. And I was like, I want to do my own thing first and just go explore.
Where did that come from? I mean, it could have been just so simple to go back home and
I think,
apprentice dad. What was that? You're like, nope.
I'm convinced it was a God thing. Like it just that extra thing on my heart, just to go out there and do my own thing first. And then I was very picky and intentional with, finding my next career, which I don't know if we're going into that yet, but we could talk about that. Yeah. So,
I think you're one of the few stories that I've heard that you didn't have a bunch of other stops on the way. It sounds like college, and then
this is my first big boy job.
This is your career, Tanner. So tell us how you found out about family heritage, the process, maybe the crazy thoughts in the middle of the journey.
The whole process. So I graduated college in 2020, it was January 2020. So
great time to graduate into college.
COVID, great. And what do I find for work? And so thankfully, like I said, I've always had that entrepreneur spirit in me. So I've always done things like even throughout college, I bought these, bots online.
Okay.
I would buy and resell shoes. And so like all the Yeezy shoes, the Jordans, all these crazy collaboration, Travis Scott, Off-White shoes that
cool.
I purchased bots that would go and on these websites when they dropped, and they would purchase these shoes right away and then at retail price, but they were in such high demand, low supply, that people would pay like 5 times the amount that I bought the shoe for originally. So I'm selling these shoes. I'm buying these shoes for $200-$250, buying or selling them for $800 to $1,000 a piece.
So cool.
So thankfully, like I said, I've always just, there are times where I'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning to make sure that I was, my bots were performing well. And so I was just, like I said, I always had that knack for just
the drive to go.
Drive to get out there and just, make money and obviously just be a entrepreneur. So,
wow.
Thankfully, I did. So the reason why I said that is I think that I've done that to where I could be very intentional and picky throughout my first job selection. So I was applying for stuff, and really it started in probably April, May. I was applying for jobs, and there were quite a few financial advising jobs. Like I was looking at that stuff. I followed some people like, oh, maybe I could do this. It sounds cool. It sounds the sexy job title, financial advising, right? And then the typical recruiting stuff, like I could be a recruiter for another company or doing this stuff. And then I follow, like I just wanted to shadow people, Nick. I just want to see what you guys do. Yeah. And thankfully I had the opportunity to do that, and it just didn't really feel right. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like sitting behind a desk, making phone calls. Like I'm an athlete. Like I don't want to sit behind a desk all day making phone calls. I want to be out talking with people and just, being in the community, not feeling like a call center. And nothing against those guys, but it's just like something that I want to be very intentional with, and it just didn't feel right. And then I was in the final interview process of this other big financial advising firm. Like, okay, I can maybe, let's just do this and start off there. And then thankfully, this is another God thing.
Yeah,
is,
you keep showing up.
They called me and they're like, Tanner, we're just going to be on hiring pause. COVID's getting bad. One of their head places was in Arizona and St. Louis. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just, I'll just keep looking. That was, I think, in like June, July. And then I applied.
At some point, are you thinking like, man, this is COVID? Do you ever have any doubts or thinking like maybe Dad's business is looking pretty sure? Or
at some point I helped him out a little bit during that summer too, just to, be in the field. Cause that's one thing that he would always, tell us to do is like, if we ever wanted to come back and work for him, like I'm not starting in the office, which is great. What I respect about that is, cause you also don't want to be that kid like, Tanner is coming back to take over the family business because his dad. So he's starting off right here. Like he wanted me to be in the trenches first and I love that. Be in the field, see how the process worked, and then eventually, be in the office. But so those are thoughts, of course, because I'm like, what the heck? Like maybe this is a sign. I just need to go back and work for my dad.
Yeah.
And then I found Family Heritage just applying online, and I wasn't really sure what I was applying for either, which is the funny thing is like, I'm just applying. And so I applied, and then I got the call. I'm like, okay, really? Insurance? Like who wants to sell insurance? Like that sounds kind of boring.
Yeah.
And then I watched some
career overview. Not a sexy job title,
it's not a sexy job title, but life can be. So then I watched these videos and about kind of just an idea of what we do. And I'm like, okay, I get to sell a product that first off, it's like a savings account. People, if you don't use it, we literally return all the premium back to their pockets. I'm like, I can actually get behind something like that. And then I resonated with some people that were in the videos, the culture fit. I'm like, this, and I get to be a business owner at the same time, but I also don't have to reinvent the wheel at the same time. I get to work with people that I can just trust the system that they've already implemented and just go put it to work. I'm like, this actually sounds, about right. And then, so I accepted. And I don't really remember why I accepted either. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of a blur, but for sure a God thing of just pointing me in the right direction.
You did.
And
So how was the beginning? So you're in the field with Dad in the summer, you're thinking about that. Then you, like you said, you feel like it's a God moment. The company didn't know about a product you weren't interested in selling. When you first got started, what were those early months like for you?
Well, I'll go back to after I accepted.
Okay. Yeah.
I accepted. And then it was studying for the license. And people that know me, it's like, I'd much rather just do stuff rather than like sit behind a desk and read or like, study. especially for like insurance license. I was like, what this is boring stuff. Like, do I really want to do this? And then I studied, and I didn't really study a lot for the license.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty for everybody out there.
I didn't study a ton. I would literally just skip through it, take the practice quizzes, all that type of stuff, like what some of us do. And then I took the first test, just bombed it. I got like a 52 or 60, whatever it was.
Not 70. Not 70 or greater.
Nope.
It's got to be a little humbling.
Yeah, that was the first time. Second time, I was like, okay, maybe I'll study a little bit more. Failed it again.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, do I really want to do this? So I said to myself, this is the crazy thing is like, all right, I'm like, okay, if I fail the third time, maybe I'm just done. Like, maybe I should just go do something else. In my third test, I got a 70. So I was 1 point away from, I'm like, wow, I did it. I ended up passing with a 70. And so that's kind of why I'm here now.
Sometimes third charm is what you need to work for.
Yeah, third time's a charm. Exactly. So
So rough start already.
We
are rolling in.
And now we'll get to the even rougher start.
Oh, gosh.
So started my first week in the field. Wasn't really a week in the field. I had COVID, of course.
Finally got you.
Yeah. COVID finally got me. This was in September.
Okay.
And then the week after that was my brother's wedding. So I had like 2 weeks of not really being in the field at all.
Okay. Not the preferred start for all the trainers listening.
Do not take that route. So terrible start that way. And then my first 3 months, I have one of the worst starts in, I think, history of the company for somebody that's still here 5.5 years later. But my first 3 months in the business, I protected one family outside of my personal family. So protected my mom and dad, protected my brother, my sister, or my brother and sister-in-law, my sister, and then a family friend of ours on like a $43 accident plan. And so I just had a rough start. Like but there are also times where it's like, man, I'm just not really going to work. Like, do I really deserve, obviously it's like, I can't quit.
Why not?
Because I deep down, I knew that I have to first off work hard. And like, if it'd be a different situation, if I was working my butt off and doing the job the right way, it's like, okay, maybe I should quit if I'm having these results. But because deep down, I was like, I'm not really working my butt off. Like, I'm not fully buying in. I'm not fully committing to why do I deserve to quit?
Why don't
I even deserve to have a job if I can't even work, for myself and build a business? Like, at that point, I probably just needed to have a boss tell me what to do. But thankfully, obviously that persistence and just the drive and the grit allowed me to, really see what it looks like from other people in the company and seeing what they could do here and just really like, okay, I just got to fully buy in.
So what do you feel like? Yeah, it sounds like you weren't bought in. What was keeping you from buying in? And then how did you actually go all in?
Yeah.
Because that matters no matter what career you're in, right? No matter what relationship you're trying to grow. Like, have you thought back and been like, oh, that was it?
I'd say one of the main things was just probably being uncomfortable. Yeah. It was uncomfortable to go out there and, cold call a business. I've never done that before. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is uncomfortable. Uncomfortable to, use the sales conversation. Like, why? Like, it sounds cheesy. Everyone has that one point. That kind of sounds cheesy, but when you fully buy in and, do the job the right way of how it's tried and true to work. You just got to go put it to work and truly buy into the system and just have that belief that you're doing the right thing. So it was more of that, just being uncomfortable, being my own boss. Everyone says they could be their own boss, but truly when it comes down to it, when you're out in the field by yourself, no one's looking over my shoulder to tell me to get to work every day. You just got to get to work and really buying in and just like, okay, I got to, let's just fully commit and see what this career looks like. So my mom, actually, this is also what built my conviction around what we do. My mom was in a motorcycle accident my sophomore year in college. And I remember, very clearly where I was at the time, playing basketball, got like 5 missed phone calls from my siblings. Like, mom's getting airlifted to Sioux Falls. They're coming back from the Black Hills in South Dakota. My dad so they drive their pickup out there with the motorcycle on the back. So they have to drive all 5.5 hours out to the Black Hills. And so my dad and my mom are like, okay, well, Jody, maybe you should get a motorcycle here eventually. I was like, yeah, I could do that. And then my dad's like, well, let's just have you, this very slow, quiet roads just on this back road highway. And so very, a good spot to maybe, just test it out.
Yeah.
And she was driving and was going around the curve of the highway, hit a loose piece of gravel. My dad was driving behind her in the pickup. So watching the whole thing, I can imagine that. And falls. Thankfully, she was wearing a helmet. And she has all this nice Harley Davidson gear, like the really nice leather. And at one point, though, this is completely another God thing of she wasn't going to wear that. She was wearing a tank top before. Yeah. And sandals. She was going to wear sandals driving this. And like, why was that even a thought process? But thankfully she put on the boots, she put on her jacket. She would have been a lot more beat up but she was going up about 55 miles per hour. Yeah. Falls, hits her head, thankfully wearing a helmet and unconscious.
Oh my
And my dad's watching it all. He pulls over and, picks her up and like Jody was unconscious, had no service. It was a crazy story. And she got, this is another crazy thing. She was where the accident was at. It was like an hour away from where my mom grew up in Platt, South Dakota. Yeah. And so we had a lot of family there too that was at the hospital right away when my dad picked her up, put her in the pickup, took off the trailer and just was flooring it 100 miles per hour to the hospital. Got her there and then she got airlifted to Sioux Falls. But in the ICU for, I think it ended up being like 10 days. And yeah, just my dad being a business owner, just hearing that story. And I remember when I started here, seeing the product and what we could do here. This is like the first week I was here. I'm like, Dad, if you don't mind me asking, what I'm not going to say the competitor, but what'd they pay you out for Mom's accident? Like, oh, it was great. They paid like $5,000. It helped with the deductible and things like that. I'm like, that's awesome. And then I saw our products and we would have paid her over like $65,000 to her pocket. And my dad was out of work for a couple of weeks in the hospital in Sioux Falls, and it really would have helped the business out. And just seeing the conviction, like this, what we do is very special. The products that we do, the relief it gives families is unlike any other. And so, the conviction behind the product is that helped a ton to keep me here too. Like knowing that I'm actually doing something special. I don't just sell a product. I sell something that actually changes people's lives and can help them whether they buy it or not. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad your mom is doing well.
Yeah.
And that you get to help families.
It's a miracle for sure.
Yeah. That go through similar things. It sounds like the product conviction was a huge click for you. Would you say there were any other moments where things finally started to click? Because you went from basically not doing the things you were told to do to then having a record top year performance when what seems like an even shorter amount of time you were actually working if we're tracking your story. So what were the other things that, I guess, would you say mindsets, habit, approach that it clicked and then you were all in?
Realistically, my first year was technically like 8.5, 9 months. But I mean, I was able just to follow some awesome people in the business, seeing the system that we built and just see it put to work. I didn't really get that a ton when I first started. So just my mentorship and my leadership at the beginning was a lot different than, after 3.5 months. And I was like, okay, I got to make some changes and I got to reach out to other people too and see what they're doing. And so, what allowed me was to follow people and see what they're doing, seeing the process, the way obviously the business has been built. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, I just learned the sales conversation. I just got to go to work.
Just got to do that stuff that they're doing. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is actually a very simple business. It's not easy, but it's very simple of what we do. And so being able to see that and say, okay, I'm going to commit. And there, it's just like my mindset was like, I'm a business owner. Like I got to act like it. If I wanted to get paid, very little, like I was, getting paid before because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
We always tell people if you treat this like a hobby, you're going to get paid like it's a hobby. But if you treat it like a business, you can get paid like it's a business. And so fully bought in. My morning routine was always decent, just without, throughout college and everything, early morning, stuff like that. But there are times where I didn't wake up the sharpest. And when you don't wake up sharp, you have a pretty lazy day. But when you wake up sharp, you have a great
Sharp
day.
day. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
How you start the morning obviously leads to how you end the day too. So, had to fully buy in. I was on every single morning call. I would go work out in the morning rather than in the middle afternoon or whatever it was.
So you really had to change your life to make this business work.
Completely. Yeah.
Had to give away old habits. Not that they were bad ones, right?
No.
Like working out in the afternoon, but it sounds like your mindset shifted, your habits shifted.
Yep.
What was that first success or that first, maybe I don't know if it was the customer that wasn't related to you or if it was that first eagle or what was that first taste of success after just sucking it up the first few weeks?
Yeah, eating a lot of crap sandwiches, you can say. But I deserved it because I didn't work. But anyway, I remember it was one of my first big weeks in the business. I was out there and I was having a terrible week in general. Like Monday, no sales, Tuesday, nothing. And then Wednesday came along and I'm like, all right, I just need to meditate, pray, breathe. And that next business I went into, I landed a big enrollment with this company and it was a big flooring company and they had, I signed up like all 24 employees and I was like, wow, like, this is pretty special. Like I just did like the grit, obviously just to continue to keep going no matter what. But also I'm like, this business is pretty special what you can do in a week, in a day, in a year. And I was like, okay, my mindset completely shifted to, I want to work with people that I love. And so that's when I started recruiting and building a business that way. Like this career is a great opportunity and it's selfish for me to not share it with anybody else that I know and love that they could use a product in a career path like this that allows them to get to where they want to be, at the pace they want to go to.
So what's that like? Okay, so you're committed, you're starting to see success, and then you begin building with your friends, that your personal network, the people. And that's got to be interesting. I mean, what's that process like talking to your friends and family about, changing their career, going all in on something that,
Yeah. It's a very simple conversation to have that a lot of people can overcomplicate. It's just, Rebekah, what do you like about what you currently do? What's one thing you would change about what you do right now? Or is that something that you could see yourself doing forever? Or is this just something temporary? And just having those conversations, I was so, and I'm so passionate about what we do and then what it's even given myself and my family. It's just like, this is the best opportunity out there, as we always say. And it truly is. But knowing that, deep down that I can help this person get to the next level. And I've seen what it's done for me. And if I can do it, anybody else out there can do it. It's like young college kid coming in here doing this and, had so many failures in the beginning. It's like anyone out there can do this.
Right.
You just have to really believe. Obviously, you have to have the passion. You have to truly want to help people, but also be coachable and just committed to work hard and everything else to take care of itself.
Yeah. When the principles are in place, you can go far on the journey. Yep. So you've finished your top year. It sounds like you're starting to build that conviction where you got to share it. This is, you're excited about it. You're passionate about it. What were some of those first lessons, from building your first team?
Yeah.
Because the first 5 that get you there are not always the first 5 that,
I've been really blessed, Rebekah, with people that, I still have people that like Hunter and Lauren are some of my first recruits in the business, some of my best friends to date. And it's really special to grow a business with people like that are just solid in the heart too. And, it comes down to having that conversation too of like I can do everything I can to lead people and show them the right way. And like, that's what I'm here to do is just, I can always show people how to do the job. That's why, I believe in leadership and not management is I will always lead people and show them everything that they need to do to be successful in this business. And the rest is in their court. And it can be really hard. Or it's like, you got to try really hard to fail in this business by all the resources we have. Yep. If you just go to work, and so, the first 5 people that I recruited, one was my best friend. He was selling furniture and I'm like, dude, you're selling furniture. Like you got to come do what I'm doing. Like this is special. And so he didn't end up working out, which is completely fine. We're still great friends. So one of my best friends. And obviously if that's a true test to your relationship too. It's like, it's a good relationship, even if they aren't successful here and they go do something else, like when you still maintain that relationship, And then, Hunter, Lauren, like they're some of my first recruits that Hunter was a little bit easier to get over here than Lauren, and Lauren was a little bit more difficult, but she
was worth
it.
Yeah,
they love it now, and they're both great people to work with. I have a lot of great people that I work with. So
it sounds like some good lessons along the way. Okay, so then fast forward, you're now looking at stepping into being an agency owner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how did you know you're ready? What were the conversations you're having with yourself? I don't know if we've found Kennedy yet. I mean, there sounds like a lot of change and a lot of transition. I guess talk to that process and your mentality and your lessons in that whole.
Yeah. So, me, obviously you can hear from my mentality when I was younger, just always dreaming big and thinking big. So I really, agency owner is, really, you work so hard to become an agency owner. And I was like, of course I was thinking like, I want to become an agency owner one day. Right. But I didn't truly entail what it looked like to get there, or I knew what it looked like, but not what it entailed and what the agency owner title actually, brings. So, I just took it one step at a time. I'm like, okay, well, I want to become a market director. I want to become a regional director. I want to become, the next one is agency owner. And so, kind of fast forward, I hit market director, my first, 9 months in the business really. And then that's when I met Kennedy, my wife. We met, we kind of go way back from freshman to sophomore year in college too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Which we can dive deeper into that now if you want, or we could go into that.
So you had met before, it didn't work out.
Correct.
And then here we are back in each other's lives again.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, I'm persistent. And so the first time it didn't work out, which is
left
fine.
her in a great place.
Yeah. She was like, Tanner, I'm just focused on school and acting.
It's not you.
It's not you, it's me. I'm like, okay, whatever. So they all say no. But
God in his providence, he knew.
Humbled me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's fair. It's like, focus on school. I'm fine,
Yeah.
And then we still kind of kept in communication.
Okay.
That was like my freshman, sophomore year. And then my end of senior year is when we reconnected. And, we always just knew each other, kind of friends somewhat. And then I reached out to her again to go on a date. She was in Nashville at the time. And she's like, if you're ever down in Nashville, I'm like, okay, I have to go down to Nashville for a date. Like, sure, I'll do that. And then it didn't work out because the guy, I'll kind of go back to that. Sorry. This guy that I was like,
you don't do things the easy way, do you, Tanner?
It's like,
it's
got to go. Yeah, it's the hard way. So I was hiring this guy down in Nashville, and it took him like 3 months to pass his test. I'm like, dude, you gotta pass this test. I got a date. And so
extra motivation.
I was like, come on, like whatever. I'll come study with you. But it was kind of long story short. He didn't pass in time. Kennedy was actually coming back up to South Dakota because that's where she's from. She was just living in Nashville at the time. She went to Belmont for a couple of years, got her master's there. Shows you how smart of a gal she is. She's getting her master's down there at Belmont. She's coming back up to South Dakota, and she reached out to me on my birthday. I'm like, oh man, she remembers me. Like,
it's a good sign.
Like she's in love with me. No, that's her story. But then she came back to South Dakota. And she was back for a couple of days. We went on an ice cream date, and the rest is history. So
that's been some good ice cream.
Great ice cream, Cold Stone. It was great. So
wow,
yeah.
And you're at this point in the middle of just figuring out leadership. You're a market director. I mean, you were probably just wheels on fire.
Yeah,
working hard,
growing a lot in the business, working my butt off, and then also doing long distance with her because she was also back in Nashville, and so. That was about almost a year in the business, when we started to date. And then thankfully this business allows you to work wherever you want to. And
how cool is
so
that?
I went down to Nashville for a couple months and started growing the team down there too. And
wow, you made it work for you.
Yeah, it worked out. And so, we went long distance for a couple months or so. And it's thankfully her job at the time too allowed her to kind of do whatever.
But you guys sounded like you always wanted to come back home.
For
Is
sure.
that the goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially that, South Dakota's, I tell people it's God's country. It's a great area to be in. It doesn't sound always great from what people say, which is perfectly fine with me because it's
more room for you.
Exactly, more room for me.
Wow. So growing in a lot of ways, it sounds like relationship, business, and it kind of all culminates together. Are there any lessons from that early time that you now remember and use today, just of whether it's traveling or building or relationships? It just sounds like a really intense time, those first couple of years.
It's an intense times, but it allows you to, go down to your roots. And, obviously we have a strong foundation in Christ. And so a lot of alone time too, when you're traveling and whatnot, to just dive deeper into the word. And so a lot of both to do that too. Nashville was a great experience for Kennedy because she was able to do that. She went to Nashville by herself, not knowing a single person.
Wow.
And so she grew a lot in her faith there. And I grew a lot in my faith just after college to more have a relationship with God. But also just, so a lot of learning moments, obviously, between all that stuff, but all the failures, obviously, you can look at as learning moments, and it's not failure unless you quit. So, yeah.
I like that. And now how does faith impact the way you run your business now?
What's our foundation? Everything that he's given us is obviously all glory to him. And so, it's our foundation and our core belief, our core principles. They always stay the same no matter what. And it sometimes can be hard with friends too in the business. But that's our principles should always stay the same no matter what. And so it allows us to obviously have a strong foundation. And if we do, I heard this from one of our agents. He was a pastor too. And so he's like, our product is so awesome. We're doing God's work. We're just the hands and feet of it. And we just got to go out there and read upside down on an iPad. So it's pretty special.
I like that. Yeah. That's a good lesson to learn. So, okay. So then you get the girl, you're back to South Dakota. You guys get married, you become an AO. Is this just thing after anything that surprised you when you took that role as an AO? Like you said, you knew the title, but maybe not the job. Is there anything that first surprised you, or you had to level up and learn?
Yeah, there's always ways that we need to level up, right?
Yeah.
Hint, hint. But there's always ways, to level up in this business. Especially if you want to grow, like obviously I always think big. So if I want to have a, $20 million agency or a $30 million agency, like I need to level up myself to be able to learn or to be able to lead that type of an organization. And there's always different stages in this career that will allow you to do that, which is what I love about it. It's like you're never done growing. You're always learning. And so becoming an agency owner, there was never, thankfully I've ran the business and I've had great mentors like Justin that really, allowed me to do that. And he's one of, my best mentors ever. Just being able to, lead me and show me the way, but also allow me to go do it myself is what he's really great at. He gives you obviously the vision of what you can do here, but he's also not going to hold your hand and do it alongside you. Or he'll do it next to me all day long, but I got to do it myself too. So I ran the business like as an agency owner, really my last year, the year before I became an agency owner, just of, with the expenses, not all the expenses, but obviously the expenses, just really hiring different people for different roles and running my own meetings and my own calls. So thankfully he's prepped me for that. And, it's obviously a big change, but it's great. And when I have great people around me, like another thing growing up, I've always surrounded myself with great people.
Yeah.
Thankfully I have awesome people around me that challenge me, encourage me, push me every day. Obviously my wife, being able to support as well. And especially with a 14-month-old baby, it's been a lot, but it's been a blessing.
An adventure.
Yeah.
So now that you've finished, I don't know if I know any other AOs who wrote almost $8 million their first year as an agency owner, other than maybe.
I can name one. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got invited, right, to be a member of our growth council. Has that changed your leadership at all? Or have you had to make any changes, or are you just continuing with the things that you learned back on the court?
Yeah.
Back in the field?
It goes back to obviously also going down to our roots of where we came from as well. But just because you got to stay level headed, and we have, it's even busier now than it was last year with a brand new baby, being born, and Kennedy opened her Pilates studio.
Way to go, Kennedy.
Yeah. Good job, Kennedy. There's just a lot of things last year to this year. It's even going to be, busier with that, but it's exciting, which is fun about it. We had one of our first growth council meetings a couple of weeks ago. And so just being able to be in that room and, we are we're trying to put systems in place to help the future out, which is what it's all about. Putting systems and things in place for the future that allow other people to come in here and be more successful than what we're even doing right now, which is exciting for me because that's what it's about, is multiplying our value to, add to other people too. So, it's just nothing that I've really, obviously we always, like I said, have to level ourselves up and and grow and get better, especially if, we're growing every single year, which is
That's right.
exciting, but it's like, I got to get on my high horse too and just get to work and also level myself up and be able to lead the people that I want to lead at the level that we want to. So
is there anything that you're, I guess, or who would you say you're trying to become in this process? Because it sounds like I'm hearing you right. There's things you've identified of, okay, if I want to lead this type of person or this kind of organization, I have to grow me. Are there certain principles or things that you're trying to learn or grow in right now that others could hear and also be inspired to do?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always trying to be the best version of myself because that's all that matters. Be the best version of yourself, show up every day. And when you can truly, look at the end of the day, like, was I truly the best version of myself today? Like that's an accomplished day. If you can look back and think, man, probably should I hire or fire myself after today? When you look back and have that, gut punch there. But comparison is the thief of joy, but there are always people that I'm chasing. I'm competitive, which it's natural, but also looking back and just making sure I'm being the best version of myself. How did I grow today? And, what did I do today to help me or help our team and be the best version of myself so I can allow, to lead my team the way they need to be led too. Because this business, obviously, especially taking the AO promotion, like I didn't want to put myself or my team in the spot where I took a promotion just because I wanted to. I wanted to make sure I could take something like this, but also help my agents out even more than, what we had before.
And then what does that look like now? Okay, so we're an AO, now we're growing in that role, and now you're a new husband. Now you're a new dad. I mean, how are you balancing that all? How are you showing up for them? You're also trying to grow for your team. I mean, what are the things that keep you grounded? What are the things that you're actively learning right now that we can learn from?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of new stuff at the same time.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, Rebekah.
Okay, good.
But always,
you're human. That's nice.
It's, I mean, we have thankfully this business can allow us to work our butt off when we're intentional in the business. But then when we get home, we can shut it off, which I still struggle with that just because, who I am. Like I've always wanted to, keep going and no matter what, just keep moving. And so really just trying to find times where we could just be more intentional, like with Kennedy, myself, Noah, no cell phones, no social media,
that's great.
So thankfully, there's a lot of resources out there that allow us to do that, but still something that we could obviously be better at. We're not perfect in those areas. And so, our foundation is in Christ. And so church is important to us. Diving into the word is important to us. Starting your day off that way is important. And obviously we're teaching Noah, how to grow her faith. Obviously she's getting to that.
She's watching.
Yeah, she's watching everything we do. And so that's important is, something I've learned from people, or I don't know where this was at, but it was, our kids are our legacy that we leave, and so really wanting to be the best father, best husband I could be, to show up every day and, show them obviously, or lead our family as well is important, but obviously it comes from our foundation first. And it's just important for us to be able to provide that life for Noah that we want to as well.
And hopefully the more Fricks to come.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. So kind of looking back, because I just appreciate, you sharing your story, even though it's really just at the beginning, thinking back to when you first started at that early stage and maybe struggling, if we were honest.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what would you, if you were to go talk to a new agent struggling like you were, what would you want them to know? Or really, anybody struggling maybe at the beginning of a new choice, a new career, a new relationship. I mean, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, it comes from, I wouldn't say I've been blessed to have actually all these failures that I've had. It allows me to relate with people that are going through it as well, which is, another thing that I've never had a perfect career. I feel a lot in this business, and that's the fun thing about it is you could still be successful as long as what matters is how many times you get back up. So, but just, what I could share with people is that commit, trust your leaders, fully give yourself 110%. It's like, what, if you're willing to work 50-hour weeks for somebody else, why not put 45-hour week in for yourself, for your family and for your future? But commit, buy in, and, truly have conviction in what you do. Cause we're called to serve others on this earth and love God. And if we can do those things, the rest will take care of itself.
Absolutely. I mean, that's great advice. Then thinking about the person who maybe is just a few steps behind you, right? They're watching what it's like to be an agency owner, what it's like to build a business. Maybe they're trying to get where you are, Tanner. What would you say to them? What would you want them to know? Two very different situations.
I would say, don't put yourself in a spot where you think you've made it. Always find ways to grow and learn, because no one's ever made it. And, you can have a lot of success in this career, but always humble yourself and bring it back, to where you came from and what you've done and what got you there. Because there are times where, it gets tough. You're like, man, like everything's going great right now. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems either. But really just staying level-headed in those categories of always wanting to get better and find a way, because you can get complacent, and complacency isn't great. Being content is fine. You're happy with where you're at.
I like
you're
that.
content, but complacency is, you should never be complacent.
Okay. I have one more question for you, and I have one little thing for you. So this is from us. This is your Love Lifestyle Mike Award. This is for you. It just represents your story. I know, like Thank you. Said, it's just begun, but I also know it will represent the legacy that you're building here and with your family, and for your family and your family to grow.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
We're grateful for you. But I think it's just a beautiful legacy that you've shared from the very beginning, whether it was your family coming to the States and pioneering the southern by the Mississippi or Missouri River of South Dakota, to your grandfather's business, your dad's business, your multiple businesses, till you found your way here. I mean, if you could have a conversation with, your grandfather, like, you click your finger, you're hanging out with him. I mean, what would you tell him about what you've learned about entrepreneurship and business that you've carried forward now?
Yeah, I mean, well, like, it was one of those things that my dad always taught me, right? Is be a man of your word and follow through with what you do. That's a huge, life lesson in anything. I mean, that goes a long way. That builds a lot of trust with people, and it's you can build trust with people that way, but it's also, if you don't follow through with it, like, you can lose trust very quickly with people, right? You can lose it a lot quicker than what it takes to gain. So, I mean, that would be awesome to sit down with him and just hear the conversations, and what I've learned is, just stay level-headed into our roots in the business, but work your butt off, and just, if you work hard, good things will come, and if you consistently do it, and you're going to work your butt off, it's going to pay off sometime. It might not pay off the time that you want it to pay off, but it will pay off eventually.
Yes, it will. That's great, and I am excited to see the legacy continue to build for you, for your family, and all the future family. So
thank you.
Thank you for your time. Yeah. Thank you for your story. And to all those listening, thank you for your time. We appreciate you listening to our stories, and we encourage you to level up in your life, in your business, and everywhere you go. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode has inspired you on your path to success. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. See you soon on the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast.